Hey guys, what's up? So, it's a little bit of a story time. So, I thought I'd do this on my Chromebook instead of trying to hold my camera on my phone. 3 years ago today, April 14th of 2022, my journey began. My saga began. My medical journey fighting with doctors began. At this time, 3 years ago, at 10:48 a.m., October 14th, 2022, I was laying in a hospital bed in the emergency room that I was taken to via ambulance while my truck sat in a parking lot in a very, very unsafe neighborhood, especially at night. And there is where I laid until about 4:30 in the afternoon. That was the day that I had a I don't even know what to call him, a jerk, an anal retentive jerk of an ER doctor who came in. I had his head CT, blood work, the whole 9 yards. Well, this anal retentive jerk, putting it nicely, comes in, tells me, or asks me on April 14th of 2022, did anybody ever tell me that I'd had a stroke? It's like, no. He proceeds to start walking right back out of the room, telling me, well, you did, it's an old one, and I'm ordering an MRI. So, because apparently there are 3 spots on my brain. Those were later determined to be TBIs, which are traumatic brain injuries. When I was little, I got up out of the bathtub too fast and I passed out. And when I passed out, I hit the towel rod in the bathroom, and I hit the back of my head, and it knocked me out. I know I don't look too hot today, guys. I don't feel good. Anyways, so that's why I have that, and then being abused, that also caused traumatic brain injuries, and that's been proven. But like I said, I digress on those. April 14th was the last time I drove my truck. My truck's been sitting in my driveway ever since. Okay? I sit here, and April 14th, 2022, like I said, began my saga with this. I have been yelled at. I have been screamed at. I've been told that if I'm in as much pain as I say I am, if I need as much help as I say I do, then I should go on disability. All because I told them I want my life back. I want my independence back. I've been told I have stenosis. I've been told I have bone spurs. And there's new developments on my actual spine, but I'll explain those in a minute. So, April 15th was the day I became dependent on people. Okay, I've been independent since I was 16 years old. I feel like a burden when I have to ask somebody to take me somewhere. And it messes with you. It really does. Now, I've been through hell. April 21st of this year will be 2 years since I tore the meniscus in my knee. And that's when it was determined I need knee replacement. And I still haven't had that. April 21st will be 2 years since I've had a normal walk. I limp. So, but, I've been through hell. I've seen over oh gosh, I don't even know, you know, close to 50 doctors, 50 people now for my conditions. I talked to my doctor. I know I'm kind of jumping around, guys, but it's been a lot. I've been through physical therapy. I've been through not only like regular therapy, physical therapy. I've even been through water therapy. And because I've been limping so much, I now have my ligaments and joints in my ankle are thickening. My Achilles is thickening. I've had this, but I have what's known as knock knee, and it's in the very knee that I need replacement. My meniscus is torn again, but this time it's torn in multiple places that can't be repaired. And I mean, it's amazing. It really is amazing how much shit one person can go through. You know, all my life, all I've done is fight for what I've wanted. And, I've said this, I was talking to my husband about this. It used to be, and before I say this, I'm in chronic pain. Okay? I wake up in the morning in pain. I have pain throughout the day. And I go to bed in pain. And I've expressed this over and over and over and over for the last 3 years to whoever will listen to me. But basically what it does, it goes in one ear and out the other. And I'm in chronic pain, guys. And, I mean, helpless. I mean, it's crazy. It's really crazy what I've been through. I've become dependent. I can't drive. I can't just up and go somewhere like other people can. I have to ask for help. I have to ask for rides. Coming from somebody that's been very independent all her life to suddenly having to be dependent, it messes with you. It really does. And, I feel like I'm a burden on people. I really do. And, I've talked to my doctor about getting me a mobility scooter. So at least that way I can have some sort of independence without having to, depend on people to take me places. And he agreed with me. And this is what my doctor wrote, guys. Okay? To help me get my scooter. Okay? I'm going to read it for you guys. It says difficulty walking, and that's an ICD-9 or ICD-10 code, which is R26.2. Due to the patient's decreased mobility secondary to severe OA, osteoarthritis, and lateral meniscus tear of the right knee, as well as chronic neck pain and limited ROM range of motion in neck due to cervical spine stenosis, multi-level degenerational disc disease, she is limited in her ADLs. ADLs as activity of daily living, both inside and outside of the home. Believes she would be a good candidate for a mobility scooter, therefore prescription for scooter was ordered. Severe osteoarthritis. The patient has been diagnosed with advanced osteoarthritis in multiple joints, which causes chronic pain, stiffness, and limited range of motion, especially in the weight-bearing joints. This condition significantly limits her ability to walk, in increasing her risk of falls and further joint damage. Lateral meniscus tear, my right knee. The patient suffers from a torn lateral meniscus in her right knee, which leads to instability, joint pain, and further compromise of her ability to bear weight. This condition exacerbates her difficulty walking and makes it extremely painful to move without assistance. Cervical spine stenosis and degenerative disc disease. The patient also has cervical spine stenosis, which causes compression of the spinal cord and nerves, resulting in neck pain, tingling, weakness, and further limitation in movement. This condition makes it difficult to maintain proper posture and balance, complicating her ability to walk safely. Due to the combinations of these conditions, the patient is unable to walk without experiencing significant pain and risk of injury. The pain is severe that she is unable to engage in normal daily activities without assistance. A mobility scooter is necessary to improve her quality of life by providing safe and reliable support for movement, preventing further damage to her joints, and reducing the risk of falls. A mobility scooter will enable her to engage in essential activities such as grocery shopping, attending medical appointments, and other necessary tasks, all of which are currently challenging due to her limited mobility. Given the severity of her conditions and the impact that they have on her functional ability, it is medically necessary for her to have a mobility scooter to maintain independence, to improve her health outcomes, and prevent further deterioration of her physical condition. Okay? And these are, I'm trying to do this without showing, and these are actual, notes that I printed off. And you see my hands twitching too, right? That's because I have a pinched nerve in my arm. So, that got sent to the insurance. Okay. I had one insurance, but I make too much money for that one now. That's a different story. Anyways, so that particular one, they sit there and they tell me that they denied me the first time, telling me that because I can walk 30 minutes, that anything past that, I should use a cane. And if I don't have a cane, to let my doctor know. And that he should write a prescription for me to get a cane. And they'll get me a cane. Honey, I've had a cane since I had a Baker cyst in the back of my left knee, or Baker cyst in my back of my left knee, and I had a DVT in my left calf. That was about 9 years ago. So I've had a cane since then. Okay, so then I filed the appeal, and then they still denied me, telling me that I would benefit from, okay, put this in the house. I'll get you one after I'm done. Okay. Actually, hang on. I'm trying to remember. Anyways, I'll get it in a minute. All right, go in. Anyways, so then they turn around and they deny me a second time, saying that I would benefit from a walker, a seated walker with wheels. Now, with what I just read you, how would a scooter or a walker with wheels and a seat help me? Because it's hard for me to walk. So then their reasoning for denying me the second time is the fact of that I need help with taking it apart and putting it in the vehicle, getting where I need it to go. And they need assistance to put it back together. Okay, the whole point about this scooter is for me to have some sense of normalcy. Some sense of normalcy, some, independence. But the first insurance didn't want to see that. So then I get the new insurance. Okay. Now, knowing what I just read, you guys, I get denied a second or third time for this scooter. Okay. Now, in my state, part of your ADLs, activities of daily living, is being able to shop independently and get to appointments independently. Okay? What? So, I can't do that. I have to have my husband take me to the store, or, I have to Uber or Lyft. Okay? And you guys all know Uber and Lyft get expensive very, very quickly. So that's not going to work. So anyway, so my third denial was this. There is no clinical, or the service is requested is being denied because there is a lack of medical necessity. The decision was based, there is no clinical documentation showing you have failed or cannot safely use a walker or cane without improvement, which states right there, the walking part, because I'm at risk of falling. And if I fall, my plate could move. I could, rupture something in my neck or my spine. See, there's no clinical documentation indicating that you're unable to operate a manual wheelchair, which I can't do because of my arm, and or failed to improve with a standard or power wheelchair. And here's the crazy part, guys. Okay? They would rather pay more for a electric wheelchair than a scooter. And the new insurance, I have to pay 10% anyway of whatever the cost of the contracted price. I don't understand. I don't understand. Doctors don't want to help me. All they want to do is give me gabapentin, and I have a severe reaction to it. So, and I tell them that it's in my allergy chart. But all they want to do is give me gabapentin, and they tell me that they're going to, because I tell them the severity of it, they want to give me a second medication to counteract the gabapentin. I'm like, no, because that starts the cycle. And I went through my MRIs on my spine, because the spine doctor thought maybe maybe there was something else, and maybe that was part of the problem. So I went through an MRI for my upper and lower spine. And oh my God, that was horrible. That is horrible. I'm claustrophobic as it is, so I had a really hard time, and I had to take Valium for that. Anyways, so it comes back. I have multiple bulges on my spine. I have bone spurs on my spine. I have curvature of my spine. There's a shadow of a Schmoller nod, which I actually looked that up. That is a shadow of a herniated disc in my spine. So that is why, guys, I'm in constant pain. Some days are better than others. Anyway, so January 30th, I had a video appointment with the spine doctor, which he's about 2 hours away, which I had to travel before. And that's excruciating. Anyway, so I do the video appointment. He tells me that there's no surgery that can be done to try and fix me at this point. He's already pissed off at me because I turned him in. I filed a complaint with patient relations with that big medical facility. And I asked him, I said, okay, Mr. Wolf Spider, you need to go. I asked him, it's like, so what about the 102 millimeter bulge on my spine? Oh yeah, you have it, but there's nothing we can do because it's not pressing on anything. And I'm like, what the hell? And the entire time, guys, we're having this video appointment, right? He's like this. It's like he's digging at a scab or something on his chin. That's not medically professional. And even when I did see him before, in the room, his PA, did a physical on me, did the touchy-feely shit, right? But with him, he stood up against the wall, had his hands behind his back, had his leg up on the wall balancing. And he'd do that for a couple minutes. Then he'd step down and look at my whole spine again, and then go back to standing up against the wall. So guys, this is just a damn portion of what I've been through in the last 3 years. I don't understand why I'm going through this. I really don't. Okay. But, I just don't know what else to do. I do have a GoFundMe set up to try to raise the money to get my scooter because I cannot afford it. And obviously, my insurance aren't going to help me with it. I mean, if you're interested, you can private message me, and I'll give you the link. If not, no big deal. I'll figure it out somehow. But I need my life back, you guys. And here's the crazy part I haven't even told you. Okay? I don't have hardly any friends around here. I don't have family here. Okay? I rely strictly on my husband. And he has his medical conditions. Oh no, I do have Uber or Lyft, and I have to pay. And from here to the store down the street, $6. If I had my scooter, I'd be able to just go and do what I needed to do. Because there are some days that my husband can't even leave my house because he's in a lot of pain. Okay? But he pushes through. But there are some days on the weekends that he just can't do it. I'm not going to out his medical conditions. But, he tries. He really tries. And there's just some days he can't do it. And so that's why I need this scooter, you guys. This is why I need my scooter. Or at this point, even an electric wheelchair to help me out. I can't afford to buy one on my own. And like I said, I do have a GoFundMe set up. And, I'm not begging. I'm not dry begging. I'm not begging. I'm venting right now. But I do have one. I do have a GoFundMe set up. And if anybody's interested, you guys can private message me. So, let me know. Bye, guys. Have a great day. I can't see the